It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, Light Forex Social Trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Good morning, 14th of May 2019 is a minute past 8 CET. Piotr here, and is a pre-London Open live market coverage on the Light Forex Global YouTube channel. Yeah, full roller coaster. So let's start with risk warning, guys. Please bear in mind trading FX, trading crypto on margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for all investors. You can sustain a loss of some or all initial investments, so please do not invest the money that you cannot afford to lose. All right. Just a reminder, our next meeting later today at 2 p.m. CET, we are going to cover the New York Open, and that's gonna be very, very interesting. So yesterday, huge risk of sentiment. Looks like someone's already told to Mr. President during the Tokyo session that he went a little bit too far. So something like 5 hours ago, and it was it's visible here on the dollar yen. Talking about this candle, so right over here, third hour of the Tokyo session, right? Looks like the comment from the Mr. President Trump side that he feels the talks with China are gonna be successful, forced shorts to cover, so a little bit of risk on during the Tokyo session, all right? So the yen crosses were doing quite well. Actually, they were most beaten yesterday. But, big but here. I think that, and we are going to discuss in a second. Within the second, I think that USDCNH, Chinese yuan, that's gonna be the key here, as well as, for example, Nasdaq and the oil, right? But before we start to go through the charts, let's have a look what we have on the agenda. German final CPI. Let's have a look the number. There you go. Okay, USA. 1 second, guys, please. Hello, Sally. How are you doing? All good? And that's the CPI. We will go through, yes. Okay. So that's the CPI number. We are awaiting for PPI from Switzerland at 8:30. Then 9:15 we do have FOMC member Williams speaks. 10:30, that's gonna be key for British pound, I would say, short term. Job market, so we are awaiting for average earning index, unemployment rate, claimant count change at 10:30 again from the United Kingdom. But of course, the stuff related to the Brexit is much more important. And yesterday, the talks were on the verge of the collapse, but looks like there is a still chance, right? Anyway, pound is much weaker. At 11 today, we do have German ZEF economic sentiment and industrial production, and then during our afternoon meeting, we do have import prices from US. That's how it looks from the calendar perspective. So we can start to check the charts. Let's start with dollar Chinese yuan. And there you go. There is, as I mentioned, there is a little bit of risk on currently going on, but what is important from my perspective, what is important here is this chart. What happened yesterday with this strong rally, we took out the previous week high, right? Friday, Thursday high over here, the green line from daily chart, and it was moved back into this previous consolidation phase, right? Ahead of this sell-off. Now we got back here. So as long as we are above 686.50, I think we are not done yet. And I've been trying to visualize the next few days, and I think that what we might see here is like, all right, that's gonna be maybe today, and it might be something like this with lower shadow, so retest of this last week high, right? Close inside, and for example tomorrow another retest of the last week high, but this time something like this, going higher. I think that 695 might be in play here. All right, so as long as we hold above previous week high, we are not done yet with risk off, in my opinion. So it might end up that what we've seen right now, and here as well, Nasdaq, what we've seen right now is some kind, Heimer, good morning, it's some kind of the, let's call it dead cat bounce, right? Now let's have a look what we have on this Nasdaq side over here. Okay, let's check if we can compare with something. All right, still some space over here, but anyway, I'm gonna to explain in a second. That's the possible demand over here. All right, but anyway, so we are not done yet with dollar Chinese yuan, in my opinion. All right, so what we might see here, as we see the pullback, as we see on dollar Chinese yuan, as we see a little bit of the risk bounce, we might see a little bit of move higher here on Nasdaq. Now, what I'm gonna to look for, right? I'm going to look for Friday low, I'm going to look for Friday low, I'm going to look for of March high, the green line over here, right, as a first possible supply. So I'm trying to visualize this, and from the negative perspective, from the bearish perspective, I can see that maybe we will try to make some kind of the head and shoulder over here, right? That's the first possible scenario, or taking into the consideration the high last year high over here, right? Cannot rule it out a little bit of bigger rally. So again, some kind of the stop count, and then over under formation and going lower from here, right? That's how I see the things from the bearish perspective. Either we are going to react based on my chart, we are going to react above 7,500, or we are going to go as high as 7,690, 7,700, right? To retest this double top over here on the Nasdaq side, right? From the bulls perspective, look where we are. It's the current attempt to bounce. It's not accidental. It's not accidental. We do have possible demand here based on this rally over here, right? So the bounce is possible here. Now the key level is this latest weakness over here. Just 1 second. That's where we seen the latest weakness here. Let me make it a little bit bigger. All right, that's the latest weakness, right? In the meantime, we do have one more possible demand over here. The swing low here with possible stops below, and this latest weakness right now. So once we are going to start to move lower, I would be careful here in this mid demand zone. I'm not sure if it's going to work out. There are possible stops below, and if that's the head and shoulder and we are going to break through the latest weakness as a target, so I would be very careful with this mid range. So overall, I think very important level right here, right now, watching for a Friday low and 7,510, or stronger rally towards 7,690, 7,700 on the Nasdaq, right? So bounce is possible. So let's have a look what we have on the yen crosses right now. Sally asked about pound yen, so let's start with pound yen. Let's have a look what we have. We are inside this demand zone with the latest weakness seen at the very beginning of the year over here, right? Just move to the downside so we can extend. We can extend the line over here. So, Sally, I would be very careful buying right now. What I would like to see, that's the daily chart, right? What I would like to see, because nothing has happened here, and look at this strong move to the downside over here, right? So I would be very, very careful here. We may try to play out over under based on what we've seen here. Here, I'm talking about the low from the from the 7th of February 2019, low 141.12. Then I'm talking about the low from the 15th of February, in that case 141, right? If we want to play out over under, then we shouldn't go lower than 141.12. Let's have a look what was the low yesterday, 141.20. So I think that's why I would be careful. I think there are two possible scenarios from the bull's perspective, right? We may either try to trade this over under, in that case something around 141.10, meaning that we are going to look for stops below yesterday low. So I would be careful here, Sally. And the second possible scenario, taking into the consideration the price action over here, this weakness here, all right, I wouldn't be surprised to see that market is looking for all these stops around here. So I wouldn't be surprised that we are going to retest psychological full 140 level, right? And then see the bounce. Because for now, look what happened. Look what happened. Every time we saw the attempt to rally, it was followed by sell-off, right? Friday, attempt to rally, gap down, and another move to the downside, okay? So for now, even if we are going to put the trend line over here, we see that we are facing strong sell-off right now here. Now, we have two important things we need to take into the consideration when talking about the pound. Overall, Brexit-related stuff, as well as today's job data within the next 2 hours and 10 minutes, right? So let's try to switch to the lower time frame. Let's switch to the 1 hour time frame on the pound yen, and let's have a look what we have here. All right. On hourly, nothing spectacular. That was retested already, the 140, so I would be careful. So let's have a look what we have closer to where we are. All right. So just taking into the consideration what happened yesterday, right? We are still below weekly open, and that's the consolidation after the weekly open over here. All right, followed by huge sell-off. Followed by huge sell-off, right? So I think for now, thanks Mer for comment, thank you. So what I think, and it's perfectly related to what we discussed based on the dollar, Chinese yuan and Nasdaq. I think we are not done yet. So from my perspective, because we had this nice consolidation after the weekly open and followed by strong sell-off, so all right, is a possible supply zone based on intraday chart, but still we have to be aware about this supply. We are reacting inside possible demand from the higher time frame, from daily, right? But look what is going on. We saw attempt to rally. We saw attempt to rally, right? We saw attempt to rally, pull back, breakout, right? So there is a new demand which right now is tested, right? We might see another attempt to go higher, right? Pull back. So consuming another demand. Another attempt to break higher, but this time it might be some kind of the failure, and every break in that scenario is gonna be immediately consumed. So meaning that we have the open way. Once we hit this supply, everything to the downside, every demand, intraday demand to the downside is gonna be consumed, meaning that the whole space is gonna be open, and we might try to hit this stops we were discussing. That's what I'm gonna to look for on the British pound yen. Once we are going to take out weekly open, all right? Once we are going to do something like this, right? I'm going to look to buy on pullback towards this broken supply. That's what I'm gonna to look for on the pound yen. I think we are not done yet with risk off. It's an empty rally for now based on the Trump comment and lower Tokyo liquidity. I think the key is here, dollar, Chinese yuan and indices, Nasdaq. And why we seen the strong rally within the yen crosses? Because holding yen overnight, holding long yen overnight is expensive, right? So here, quick short covering, but I wouldn't say we are done here. So we spoke about the pound yen, so let's have a look what we have on the dollar yen side. Again, here we are below weekly open as well, blue dotted line. We, based on the daily chart, of course, we reacted inside. We just touched possible demand and we see the reaction, but for now, nothing, just inside bar creation for now, right? And the high today hit Friday open, taking into the consideration latest move, it was like move to the downside, right? Move to the downside, followed by bounce. So the base creation, lower low. So what we've seen right now during the Tokyo session, it was the retest of the Friday price action here. It was the rising day after the fall. So that's the base retest, and there is, at least for now, some kind of the rejection. There are two important factors: drop, base drop, plus we are still below the weekly open. So yeah, I would say we are not done yet here as well. Now let's switch to euro dollar. interesting things going on here. Now it's very tough question, and I'm not sure if we are going to be able to find the answer right now, but we have to think for a while, right? We have to think about this US-Chinese trade tensions over here. So dollars, Chinese yuan, 7 is a key psychological level in my opinion. Once we are going to easily cross the level of 7, right? I'm almost sure, and if we are going to hold above 7, I'm almost sure that Trump and the whole administration, they are going to call Chinese FX manipulators. So that's gonna be even worse, right? I'm not sure if because the Chinese government holds 5% of US debt, right? I'm not sure if they are if they want to hurt dollar right now. That would be necessary to make Chinese yuan stronger, right? And I don't think they need it right now. So I wouldn't say they are going to dump dollar here. So going back into the euro dollar here, we saw attempt to rally based on these tensions. But what we are talking about right now here, from the Chinese perspective, they don't need really weaker dollar. That's the one side. But on the other hand, if we are going to look forward into the next U.S. elections, right? And if President Trump is gonna be elected, he might not have anything to lose. So he as he already mentioned a few times, that the dollar is too strong, inflation is low, Fed should do something, right? Like cut the rates. So once he become chosen for a second term, he might try to weaken the dollar. But we are going to see the answer a little bit earlier, right? What we have to observe in that case, from the long-term perspective, we have to observe the surveys after summer holiday or so. We are talking about the longer-term perspective. Now, going back to what is going on right now. There was another attempt to go higher yesterday with strong rejection. So we have like yesterday, Monday, right? Upper shadow. Friday, upper shadow. Thursday, upper shadow. But every day we were able to make higher high, right? So looks like important thing here is first yesterday and Friday high in terms of the swing high creation over here, right? So this type of the price action, right, that we are going to see attempt to rally today, followed by the rejection inside this possible supply. But I would be very careful. I think that we might see a little bit higher levels based on what we have here, and here, right? Pretty nice triple top, all right? And if we are going to add the range from the 17th of April, right? Okay, the bottom of that range. So here it might be nice liquidity pool, right? So stop count, and it's all going to, we are going to get an answer based on the range from the 17th of April. So I see the possibility we are going to have higher levels here. Euro dollar is the strongest inside the dollar basket, and on the dollar basket we are going to discuss it. Today's afternoon. Yeah, I can agree, Mer. I can agree with that. Yeah, you're right. But dollar index, let me briefly show you what I'm talking about. It doesn't look to be ready yet. So based on that, right, that's the dollar index daily chart, right? Attempt to break higher over here, followed by the rejection, but taking into the consideration this price action over here, right? Followed by this breakout over here, right? We are still around possible demand zone, and especially it was visible yesterday, where you seen this lower shadow, and now how I got this line, right? Here breakout, retest, continuation. All right, so we hit some stops for sure, but close was strong. So what we might see today, another attempt to go lower, to create swing low, and some kind of the rally, right? The key level 97.75, 97.80. It corresponds with 12.75.13 on euro dollar, in my opinion, right? So more stops to the upside, more stops to the downside from the intraday perspective, and have to be extremely careful. So let's get back to the platform and to the euro dollar. So let's switch to smaller time frame. At least for now, what happened late? So there was an attempt to rally based on this US-China tensions, new tariffs from the China side, right? And late sell-off. So it was the lower low over the course of the day. Risk bounce during the Tokyo session. And I think, again, something around yesterday high. And we might get an answer what next here, right? There was an attempt to go a little bit lower, but it was this dead hours when we are opening the new day, right? So that's something worth to watch. Over here, so we have a range for, at least for now, we have some kind of the range in between 12.65 and 12.15, right? So 50 pips. Once we are going to break this 50 pip range, so either we are going to see something closer to 11.70, 11.60 to the downside, right? And it's, yeah, we have some previous demand over here based on this weakness. In case of the breakout, key psychological 113 level, right? So this consolidation, and eventually if we are gonna to see attempt to break from the latest consolidation based on what we've seen yesterday, based on what we've seen Friday, right? It's not gonna give us an answer yet, probably, right? Because to the upside, if we make the measure, it's 113. To the downside, if we make the measure, is the bottom of the previous consolidation, right? This one. It's the bottom of that old consolidation, right? After the break of that consolidation, look. Measure and move. So more stops to the upside, more stops to the downside. I think that's what we are going to have, at least during the London session. And British pound, here, if you are looking for a stronger dollar, I think here might be the case. It's a little bit different. So the yesterday bearish scenario worked out here. So the swing high we were discussing yesterday morning, all about this Friday rally 2 weeks ago, then failure, attempt to get back above this latest demand, followed by upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, swing high, sell off, right? Now, one can argue that we are testing some kind of the demand over here. All right, with this nice swing low here, but I think that's the liquidity pool, and the real one is over here, lower. So I wouldn't be surprised as long as we are below weekly open, blue dotted line again, right? Look, that's the beauty. All right, so as long as we are below, I think the stops over here, so I'm going to remove this one. And based on this Brexit uncertainty, we might see some more stop count towards 28 and below 28. So let's switch to the lower time frame. Let's have a look from the intraday perspective what we have here. Okay. So I think if we are going to take into the consideration that that was the late New York and the Tokyo consolidation, if we are going to see attempt to break higher, it's going to bring us towards the weekly open, and we do have weekly open followed by this sell-off. That's the possible supply, right? So that's where I'm gonna to look to fade attempt to rally on the British pound during the London hours. All right. So we covered everything here. So we are going to check the results during our afternoon meeting. Just a friendly reminder, you are more than welcome to join me at 2 p.m. CET. Later today, we are going to cover New York Open, right? And the last thing, of course, we have to switch to the Bitcoin chart. Just 1 second. We have to switch to the Bitcoin chart. There you go. Bulls are not looking back, right? Bulls are not looking back. So what next? We are approaching strong possible supply above 9,000, right? And when I'm saying bulls are not looking back, look guys, we were discussing the plan is still here, right? And I told you that's what I think, Mary, yeah. I told you that I'm not gonna be surprised. Remember, there was a possible wall of supply, right? But we were discussing before my holiday, we were discussing that if that move to the upside is real, right? If that move to the upside is real, bulls should take out, during the first attempt, they should take out this supply at once, right? And that's what happened. And when I'm saying we never looked back, there was not a retest of the 6,000 yet. Okay? So, taking it into the consideration, where was the breakdown? Here. The full move to the downside. So, after the breakout, what's the target? Boom! Measured move. I think that next psychological level 9,000, 10,000, that's the possible target. I'm not saying we are going to go straight, but looks like Bitcoin is on steroids right now. Looks like more stops are going to be taken out. But once we are going to see the correction, be careful. Don't chase the market if you want to join the party. I think we might see a little bit deeper correction then. I'm not saying we are going to get back below 6 again, but I think this type of the move to retest something like 7,600, 6,500, it might be the case. You don't want to chase here, right? If you are long, great, be careful around 9,000, 10,000. But here at 7,900, you don't want to chase longs. We were discussing for a long time. We were discussing where we were at 5,000. We were discussing where we were at 4,000, the first breakout. That was the time, right? But here you don't want to chase the market. For now, you want to see some kind of the consolidation and then the decision. No, I don't think so, Mer. As long as we are above 5,800, I don't think so. I'm getting closer and closer to the separate meetings crypto related, based on the chart, of course, because I'm a chart guy. Maybe with some news around. So we are going to have more time to discuss only crypto related stuff. And I think that the first meeting might have a place either later this week or at the very beginning of the next week. I'm almost ready with all this stuff. And already spoke with the Light Forex guys. I spoke with Sebastian, and we are preparing first 3 special webinars where I'm going to share the strategies with you, and they are not gonna be here on the open YouTube channel. We are going to have a meeting inside the webinar room, but the more details will follow. All right, so that's it. Here, pre-London Open. Again, reminder, at 2 p.m. CET, 8 a.m. New York time, you are more than welcome to join me for the live market coverage, and we are going to look for the price action during the New York session. That's it from me here. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Be careful, of course, with this roller coaster. Don't be trapped. See you within the next few hours. Take care. Goodbye.